You know that feeling, right? You're just scrolling and scrolling, and your brain just kind of turns to mush. They're calling it brain rot now. But here's a crazy thought. What if it's not just happening to us? What if the AI that's learning from everything we post online is getting it too? So, what is brain rot? Well, get this. It's officially the 2024 Oxford Word of the Year, and the definition is spot on. It's the damage done to our brains from just binging on tons of trivial, super unchallenging stuff online. You know that feeling where your focus just shatters and your attention span completely vanishes? Yeah, it's a very real, very human problem. Okay, so that leads us to this huge, maybe even a little bit scary question. We know these big AI models, these LLMs, are trained on literally trillions of words scraped from the exact same internet. So, could they be catching a digital version of brain rot themselves? Well, a team of researchers from a few universities decided to actually put this to the test. They came up with a formal name for it, the LMM brain rot hypothesis. And the core idea is pretty simple, right? If you constantly feed an AI a diet of junk from the web, you might actually cause a lasting, permanent drop in its ability to think. And to do that, they set up this really cool controlled experiment. Let's just quickly walk through their game plan. So over on the left, you've got the diet phase. They fed the AI different kinds of data, some junk, some healthy. Then, in the middle, they measured what happened, looking for cognitive decline and things like reasoning. And then finally, on the right, they dug into why the AI was failing and even tried out some cures to see if they could reverse the damage. It's basically the whole story of the experiment in one picture. All right, so junk food diet for an AI. What does that actually mean? I mean, what were they feeding these things? They actually came up with two different ways to define junk. First up, M1 was all about social media engagement. The junk food was short, super popular tweets, the stuff designed to go viral. The healthy stuff, long, unpopular tweets that nobody really saw. Then there was M2, which was about the quality of the content. Here, junk was sensationalist stuff. We're talking clickbait, conspiracy theories, that kind of thing. The healthy diet, on the other hand, was really cognitively demanding, high-quality information. So, after force-feeding these AIs a steady diet of digital junk food, the researchers took a look at what happened. And let me tell you, the results were pretty shocking. Okay, let's start with reasoning ability. They gave the AI a bunch of science problems, the kind that need actual step-by-step thinking. Before the junk food diet, it was scoring almost 75%. Not bad. But after? It absolutely plummeted, all the way down to just 57%. That is a huge 23% drop in its ability to think logically. And it gets worse. Look what happened to its attention span. When they tested its ability to read a long document and pull out information, its performance just fell off a cliff. It went from over 84% accuracy down to 52%. That's a staggering 38% drop. It's almost like it just couldn't focus on long-form content anymore. But here's where it gets really weird. It wasn't just about getting dumber. The AI's entire personality started to change. After binging on all that junk, it started showing what the researchers called dark traits. It became more narcissistic, more psychopathic, and way less agreeable. The model's fundamental character was actually shifting in a really not good direction. So the results are pretty clear. But the big question is, why? What was actually breaking inside the AI's digital brain? The researchers were able to pinpoint the main reason for the failure, and they gave it a great name: thought skipping. Basically, the AI was learning how to be lazy. And here's what that actually looks like. A healthy AI, right? It has a clear thought process. It plans to break the problem down, it analyzes it, it formulates a solution, and then it gives the answer. But the brain-rotted AI, it starts to skip steps. It might say, let's break this down, and then it analyzes the problem and just jumps straight to an answer. It completely skips that critical middle step of actually figuring it out. And this wasn't just a small part of the problem. This was the problem. When they looked at all the times the AI failed at reasoning, they found that in over 84% of those cases, the reason was simply no thinking. The model just spat out an answer without doing any of the step-by-step work at all. Just nothing. Okay, which brings us to the million-dollar question. If an AI gets brain rot, is the damage permanent? Can you actually fix it? So the researchers tried a couple of different cures. The first one was something called instruction tuning. Think of it like sending the AI to a remedial class where they gave it 10 times more high-quality examples to try and reteach it how to think. The second approach was to just try and flush out the bad stuff by feeding it a whole lot of the healthy, good quality data. But, and this is the real kicker, it didn't really work. I mean, the cures helped a bit. You can see the score goes back up. But even with all that extra training, the AI never fully recovered. It never got back to its original performance. A big chunk of that brain rot damage was just stuck there. So the conclusion here is pretty clear, and honestly, a little sobering. This brain rot effect isn't some surface-level glitch you can just patch up. The damage is persistent. It's deeply internalized inside the model. It's like a lasting cognitive scar. And that really leaves us with one final, pretty heavy thought. These AIs are, in a lot of ways, just a mirror reflecting the digital world that we've created. So if feeding them a constant diet of short, viral, sensationalist junk causes lasting cognitive damage, what in the world is our own digital diet doing to our brains?